Welcome back to AI Brief for our special year-end deep dive. You know we've got to do it. It's that time again. The year's coming to a close, which means it's time to look back and really break down all the biggest AI developments of 2024. Remember, like just 2 years ago when ChatGPT hit the scene and everyone was freaking out?
Whoa, yeah.
Well, things haven't slowed down, not even close. AI is moving faster than ever.
It's hard to keep up.
To make sense of it all, we have our AI expert, Leah, joining us again.
Hi, everyone. Happy New Year's Eve.
She's been following every twist and turn in the AI world this past year.
I try my best.
And we're basing this whole deep dive on the AI Unwrapped 2024 report, which does a fantastic job of summarizing everything.
Definitely the best overview I've seen.
So just to give you a sneak peek of what we're going to unpack, the rise of open source AI, those crazy advancements in AI video, and how Elon Musk's XAI is changing the entire AI game.
It's going to be a wild ride.
Leah, I got to start with the big players. What's going on with OpenAI? Are they still king of the hill?
So OpenAI has had a really interesting year. They are facing some pretty tough competition now.
Really?
Yeah, companies like Anthropic, they've got Claude, and Alphabet has Gemini.
Right.
And these models are actually beating OpenAI on some benchmarks and getting super popular because they're just better at specific tasks like writing or coding.
So OpenAI isn't the only option anymore.
Definitely not. But OpenAI has been focusing their energy on something else entirely: reasoning.
Interesting.
They came out with two big models this year, O1 and O3. O3 is the one that's really blowing everyone's minds.
Oh.
It scored a ridiculous 96.7% on the American Invitational Mathematics examination, which is called the AME. That's like a seriously hard exam, even for the best math students.
Yeah, I've heard of it. That's pretty incredible. But for those of us who don't live in the world of advanced math, what's the significance of reasoning in AI? Why should people care?
Well, it basically shows that AI models are moving beyond just spitting out text. They're actually starting to understand ideas and solve problems using logic, like a human would.
Right.
And that opens up so many possibilities. It goes way beyond just writing marketing copy. This level of intelligence could revolutionize things like scientific research, medicine, engineering, you name it.
So even though there's competition, OpenAI is still trying to push the boundaries of what AI can do.
Oh, for sure.
You mentioned competition. There's this whole other movement gaining a ton of momentum. Open source AI.
Right.
What's the deal with that? We're talking things like Meta's Llama models, Mistral. How does that compare to these closed systems like ChatGPT?
Open source is shaking things up for sure.
Yeah.
So Llama 3.1, the latest version, is actually better than GPT-4 in some ways, and everyone is waiting with bated breath for Llama 4.
Really?
What's cool about open source is that anyone can access and change the code, even contribute to its development, so you get a lot more transparency and collaboration.
Right.
And that can lead to crazy fast innovation.
It does seem a lot more democratic.
Absolutely. It means not everything is controlled by those big tech companies.
Right.
But of course, there's a flip side to this.
Oh, there always is.
When anyone can tinker with the code, it gets a lot harder to make sure it's being used ethically and prevent people from doing shady stuff with it.
That's fair.
So finding that balance between innovation and responsibility is going to be crucial.
A trade-off, for
Yeah.
sure. But okay, we got to talk about Elon Musk and XAI. It's like they appeared out of nowhere.
It's been wild to watch. They got billions in funding seemingly overnight and then built this massive 100,000 GPU cluster in just 19 days.
Right, what's a GPU cluster?
Think of it like a giant brain made of computer chips.
Yeah.
This one is specifically made for AI, and it's powerful. They have the potential to challenge OpenAI for the top spot, especially with all the data they can pull from Musk's other companies.
So we've got the big established companies, open source models on the rise, and now Elon Musk jumping in with both feet. The AI scene is getting pretty crowded.
It is. And you know what else is happening at the same time?
What's that?
AI is becoming much more accessible and integrated into our daily lives. Take AI-generated media, for example.
You're right. 2024 was the year. AI video and audio went from, kind of clunky to super usable.
Yeah.
What stood out to you?
Oh, definitely OpenAI's Sora and Alphabet's VO2. Those are the big players in AI video generation.
Okay.
VO2 is especially impressive. It creates 4K video with natural movement. It's getting hard to tell the difference between that and something that was actually filmed.
It's amazing how far it's come. Remember just a couple years ago, it looked so fake.
Totally. And it's not just video. Companies like 11 Labs and Notebook LM are doing some incredible work in AI audio. We're talking realistic voice cloning, AI-generated podcasts. The possibilities are kind of crazy.
Yeah, so it's easier than ever to create high-quality media, but this level of realism, I mean, it has to raise some red flags, right?
Oh, absolutely. We have to be super careful about how this tech is used. It could be used for misinformation, deep fakes. It's scary. Figuring out how to spot these fakes and setting up ethical guidelines is absolutely crucial if we want to prevent AI from being used for harmful stuff.
It's a double-edged sword, for sure.
Yeah.
But you can't deny that this technology is opening up some really cool opportunities for storytelling and being creative.
That's the bright side.
So let's talk about how AI is changing how we work.
Okay.
I'm particularly interested in coding and marketing.
In coding, Cursor is the big one.
Cursor.
Yeah. It's like the super smart coding assistant that gives you suggestions and feedback in real time so you can code way faster.
Wow.
V0 by Vercel is another popular coding assistant that's been making waves.
It seems like AI is becoming a must-have for coders, whether they're beginners or experts.
For sure. And in marketing, we're seeing tools like ChatGPT, Midjourney, and Canva AI become essential parts of the job.
Right.
They help with everything from writing content to managing social media and even designing graphics and doing market research.
It's amazing how AI is changing how we find information, too. I mean, think about search. It's evolving so quickly.
Totally. We used to get these endless pages of links. Now, Perplexity, for example, is using AI to give us concise answers directly. It's a whole new way to search.
Right.
OpenAI didn't want to be left out, so they came out with Search in ChatGPT, which integrates live search results right into the chatbot.
It's like having your own AI research assistant. Do you think these AI tools are going to replace traditional search engines altogether?
That's a tough one. I don't have a crystal ball. What I can say for sure is that AI is changing how we interact with information. It's not just about search anymore. AI is becoming more integrated into our devices and apps.
It's becoming part of our daily lives. Like, we have desktop apps for ChatGPT and Claude now. Meta's putting AI into WhatsApp and Instagram. Even Apple and Samsung were adding AI to their devices.
And it's catching on. People love features like artifacts in the Claude web app, where you can keep all your conversations organized. It's like having a personal AI assistant that helps you manage everything.
Which brings us to something that still feels like science fiction, but it's becoming more and more real.
AI agents.
Tell me about it.
They're basically programs that can do complex tasks for you, like a super advanced digital assistant. Imagine an AI that can not only answer your questions, but also do things in the real world. Book flights, manage your finances, even talk to other people for you.
It's like having a personal AI butler. But seriously, that's incredible. Are we really that close to this being a reality?
We're still in the early stages, but the potential is huge. But of course, we have to think about the potential downsides.
Of course. What kind of risks are we talking about?
The big ones are privacy, security, and control. Who is going to have access to the data these agents collect? How do we make sure they're doing the right thing? How do we keep them under control?
Like opening Pandora's box.
In a way, yes. These are all questions we have to be asking now before things get too far along. But even with the potential problems, there's a lot of excitement around AI agents.
I can imagine.
We've seen some cool demos from OpenAI, Alphabet, and Anthropic. And even independent tools like Lindy are getting a lot of attention as people start to explore what's possible.
It does feel like we're on the verge of a big shift in how we interact with technology.
It really does. But for now, let's come back down to earth for a minute and look at the AI apps that were killing it in 2024, according to the AI Unwrapped 2024 report.
Sounds good. Let's do a quick rundown of the top 10.
Number 1 is Perplexity. We already talked about how it's changing how we search for information.
Yeah.
Then we have Claude. It's known for giving really nuanced responses and understanding context.
Okay.
It's great for writing, coding, summarizing, you name it.
A real all-rounder.
Exactly. And of course, we can't forget about ChatGPT. It's still one of the most popular and versatile AI chatbots out there. People use it for everything from creative writing to translations.
What else is on the list?
We've got Cursor, the coding assistant we talked about earlier. It's really popular with developers.
Makes sense.
And then there's 11 Labs, which is doing some serially impressive work in voice synthesis. Their AI-generated voices are crazy realistic.
That's so cool.
Number 6 on the list is HeyGen. It's an AI tool that lets you create personalized videos from text prompts. If you're not good at video editing but want to make engaging videos, it's awesome.
Oh, that sounds handy.
And then there's Gamma. It helps you create beautiful presentations and visual content, all powered by AI.
That's awesome.
It's a great example of how AI is making it easier for people to communicate their ideas visually.
What else?
Number 8 is Suno. It's an AI music generation platform that lets you create original tracks based on your own style and preferences. So if you're a musician or just like to experiment with music, it's worth checking out.
Wow.
Then there's Midjourney. It's super popular for creating AI art from text descriptions. I feel like I see Midjourney art everywhere these days.
It's true.
It's really pushing the boundaries of what AI art can be.
Okay. What's the last one?
Last but not least, we have Notebook LM.
Notebook LM.
Yeah, it's a smart note-taking app that uses AI to help you organize your thoughts, summarize information, and remember things better. It's like having an AI assistant that helps you make sense of all your notes.
That's a pretty impressive list. It shows just how much is happening in the world of AI apps.
Totally. And this
Man.
is just the tip of the iceberg.
It's easy to get lost in all the excitement, but I
Yeah.
think we need to step back for a second and think about what all of this actually means.
You're right. We've covered so much.
AI has so much potential, but like with any powerful technology, there are challenges.
Definitely. That's why it's so important for everyone to understand what's going on.
To be informed.
The more we know about AI, the better equipped we are to handle those challenges and use this technology for good.
That's a great point. Before we move on, what's one question that's been on your mind as you've seen all this AI stuff unfold? Something for our listeners to really think about as we head into the new year.
The question that keeps coming back to me is this. As AI systems become more and more sophisticated and capable, how do we make sure they align with our human values and goals?
That's a big one.
Yeah, it's a huge question. How do we prevent those unintended consequences?
It's definitely something we have to be thinking about.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny, we were just talking about how AI is becoming more integrated into our lives.
It's getting to the point where we don't even realize it's there sometimes.
Right.
Think about those personalized recommendations you get on, like Spotify or Amazon. That's AI doing its thing behind the scenes.
Totally. Those algorithms are constantly analyzing what we do, what we like, what we buy.
Or figure out what we want before we even know it ourselves.
Exactly. And then there are the more obvious examples, like voice assistants.
Siri, Alexa, all that. It's become second nature to ask them for directions or to play music or whatever.
It's true. And they're getting better at understanding us, too.
More conversational.
Yeah, more human-like. It's pretty cool, actually.
I think this integration of AI into our devices is only going to accelerate.
Oh, absolutely. Smartphones, smart speakers, they're already AI-powered to a certain extent.
Right.
But we're going to see even more features. Real-time translation, image recognition, even personalized health monitoring, all powered by AI.
It's exciting to think about. But there's that other side of the coin, too.
Definitely. The more reliant we become on AI, the more we have to think about the potential risks.
Like what?
Data privacy, algorithmic bias. What happens to jobs when AI can do them better and faster? These are all big questions we need to be talking about.
It's true. You have to make sure that we're developing and using AI responsibly.
Right. That it's actually benefiting humanity, that it's creating a better future for everyone.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. We got a ton of great questions from listeners for this year-end episode.
Always love hearing from our audience. They always ask the most interesting questions.
Our first question comes from Sarah in San Francisco. She writes, I'm fascinated by the potential of AI to revolutionize healthcare. What are some of the most promising applications we can expect to see in the near future?
That's a great question, Sarah. AI is already making a big impact on healthcare.
Yeah?
One area that's really exciting is medical diagnosis.
Okay.
AI algorithms can be trained on huge amounts of data, medical images, patient records.
So the AI can learn to spot things that humans might miss.
Exactly, and it can do it earlier and with more accuracy. We're already seeing AI being used to detect things like cancer and mammograms and signs of diabetic retinopathy in eye scans.
So it can catch things early on.
When treatment is most effective. Another really cool area is drug discovery.
Right.
AI can sift through mountains of data to identify potential drug candidates and even predict how effective they might be.
So it could dramatically speed up the process.
That's the hope. It could potentially lead to cures for diseases we can't treat right now.
That's incredible.
And there's personalized medicine, too.
Oh, yeah. I've heard a lot about that.
AI can analyze a person's genes, their lifestyle, their medical history, and then help doctors come up with a treatment plan that's tailored specifically to them.
It really does feel like the future of healthcare.
It does. But it's important to remember that this is all still pretty new. We're still working out the kinks. There are challenges,
Like what?
making sure patient data stays private, avoiding bias in algorithms,
Yep.
figuring out how to smoothly integrate AI into how doctors already work.
That's fair.
But even with the challenges, there's no doubt that AI has the potential to make healthcare better.
Agreed. Let's move on to our next question, which comes from John in New York. John writes, with AI advancing so rapidly, many people are worried about job displacement. What are your thoughts on this?
It's a question on a lot of people's minds, understandably.
Right. People see AI as a threat to their jobs.
AI can definitely automate certain tasks that humans are currently doing. So there's a chance that some jobs will be lost.
Right.
But it's not just about jobs going away.
What do you mean?
It's about jobs changing, too.
Okay.
As AI gets more sophisticated, we're going to need people who can design, build, maintain, and regulate those AI systems.
So it's not just about replacing humans.
Exactly. There will be new jobs, new opportunities.
It's about adapting.
Exactly. We need to be thinking about how we can prepare the workforce for this AI-powered future.
That's a great point. It's not just on individuals to adapt either.
Right. Governments, schools, businesses, everyone needs to be involved in making sure people have the skills they need to thrive in this new landscape.
It's like any major technological shift. There are going to be disruptions.
For sure. But there are also going to be new possibilities, new ways of doing things.
The key is to be prepared.
Exactly. To be proactive, to embrace change.
Okay, let's take one more question. This one comes from Maria in London. Maria writes, I'm curious about the ethical considerations surrounding AI. How do we ensure that AI is developed and used responsibly?
That's a huge question, Maria, and a really important one.
Yeah, we've touched on it a bit, but it's worth digging into a little deeper.
As AI systems get more powerful, more autonomous, we have to make sure they're being used ethically.
Right. It's not just about the technology itself.
It's about the values behind it.
The principles that guide how it's used.
Exactly. We need to ensure that AI aligns with human values.
Like what?
Things like fairness, transparency, accountability, respect for human rights.
Those are big ones.
They are. And figuring out how to put those principles into practice, that's the hard part.
Right. So how do we do it?
Honestly, it's going to take a lot of collaboration.
Between?
Ethicists, policymakers, researchers, industry leaders. We need everyone at the table having open and honest conversations about the potential risks and benefits of AI.
Working together to figure out the best path forward.
Exactly. And it's an ongoing process. AI is constantly evolving, so the guidelines and frameworks we put in place have to evolve too.
We can't just set it and forget it.
Definitely not. We have to be constantly reevaluating, adapting, making sure that AI is being used for good.
And that the benefits are shared by everyone.
Exactly. It's important to remember that this is a societal issue.
AI affects everyone.
The future of AI isn't set in stone. We have the power to shape it. It's up to all of us to make sure it's a future we can all be proud of.
And we're back. It's the final stretch of our AI brief year-end special. We've covered a lot of ground, from the biggest AI trends to some of your burning questions.
Time flies when you're talking about AI.
It really does. But now let's look ahead. What's next for AI? Leah, what are your predictions for 2025 and beyond?
Okay, so one trend I'm really excited about is the rise of specialized AI models.
Specialized.
As opposed to... Well, up until now, the focus has been on those general-purpose models like ChatGPT.
Right. The ones that can kind of do it all.
Exactly. But I think we're going to see more AI models that are designed for very specific tasks. Like, imagine an AI model that's specifically trained for medical diagnosis, or another one that's built for financial forecasting, or one that's just for writing creative fiction.
So instead of one AI trying to be good at everything, we'll have lots of AIs that are experts in their own fields.
Exactly. And that means they can get really good at those specific tasks. Much more accurate and efficient.
It's like having a whole team of AI specialists.
That's a great way to put it. Another thing I think we're going to see is even more integration of AI into our everyday devices and experiences.
Okay, so we talked about smartphones, smart speakers. Where else could it go?
I think it'll go everywhere. Home appliances, cars, wearable tech, maybe even our clothes.
Wow, so it's like AI will be all around us.
Exactly. Helping us, anticipating our needs, making our lives easier in ways we can't even imagine yet.
It sounds like something out of a movie.
It does, doesn't it? But I think it's closer than we realize. Oh, and another prediction. I think we're going to see a lot more emphasis on AI explainability and transparency.
That's a big one, right? Especially as these systems become more powerful.
It's essential. We can't just trust these black boxes.
Black boxes.
That's what people call AI systems sometimes. Because we don't always know how they work, how they reach their conclusions. But if we're going to trust AI to make decisions that affect our lives, we need to understand how it's thinking.
We need to be able to look under the hood, so to speak.
Exactly. And that means developing AI systems that are explainable, transparent, and accountable. And I think that's where a lot of research and development is going to be focused in the coming years.
So what can our listeners do to stay ahead of the curve in this rapidly changing world of AI?
Well, the most important thing is to stay curious.
To keep learning.
Yes. There are so many resources available online, blogs, podcasts, research papers. You can even take online courses to learn more about AI.
AI Brief is a great place to start, of course.
Of course, but don't just read about it. Get hands-on. Experiment with different AI tools and applications. The more you play around with it, the more comfortable you'll become.
It's like anything else. Practice makes perfect.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of networking. Connect with other people who are interested in AI. Go to conferences, join online communities, share ideas.
It's all about building those connections, sharing that knowledge.
And never stop learning. AI is a field that's constantly evolving, so you have to keep up with the latest developments. Read books, attend webinars, follow thought leaders on social media.
It's a lifelong journey.
It is. But before we sign off, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay, I'm listening.
As AI gets more and more advanced, it's easy to feel like it's this big, unstoppable force.
Right.
But it's important to remember that AI is a tool. A powerful tool, yes, but still a tool.
It's up to us to use it wisely.
Exactly. We control it. We decide how it's developed, how it's used. We have the power to shape the future of AI.
And with that power comes responsibility.
Absolutely. So let's work together to create an AI-powered future that benefits everyone.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI. We hope you learned something new, and we encourage you to keep exploring this fascinating field. And as always, be sure to follow AI Brief for more insightful conversations about the future of artificial intelligence. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends. We'll see you in the new year.